Hi, and welcome back to part 3 of qualitative data analysis in Nvivo. Yes, we imported our file, so I'll double click it so that I can demonstrate how you can code in the file. After double clicking it, the file appears on your right. So I wrote the research questions and got the answers from the respondents. Or let's say I pulled this data from some file so that I can analyze it. Now, the first question is, does the Chinese government regulate satirical content? So you'll code this according to how you judge it. It is not standard, but based on your judgment. How do you understand what the respondent is giving you? So let me, for example, look at this. The Chinese government is known for having strict control over media and online content, including satirical content. So you may highlight these and right click it and click on code. So code, and the name of this code, which will appear as a node, I'll click this. If you want it to be segment or relationship or a case, but I'll choose node. So I'll click new node, and this one, first I'll write regulation of satire in China. Then I'll click OK. Now this is a node, then this is a parent node, then I want a child node below it so that it can be seen in every step. So I'll click new node. Then you see it appears below the regulation of satire content in China. Then I'll give this new name as a strict control. Then I'll click OK. So if I want to check the nodes, I'll go to the far left, I'll click nodes. Then you'll see that it has a plus sign here. So the parent code is regulation of satire in China. Then the child is strict control, and strict control is from one file, and also the reference is only one. So we have one file and one reference. Then we go to the next, then continue coding that way. So the next thing is, while satirical content does exist in China, it is subject to extensive censorship and regulation to align with the government's ideological and political guidelines. So I'll highlight this and still code it. I might do it as a new code or use a written code, but I'll do is a code and click this. Click strict control, then I'll click OK. So after doing that, you'll find that the number of references has increased. So let's progress to the next. Now, for example, there's this statement that says satirical content that criticizes or mocks the government, party officials, or sensitive political topics is particularly targeted. Internet platforms and social media services operating in China are required to adhere to strict content guidelines set by the government. So what is seen here is content that criticizes and mocks the government, party officials, and sensitive political topics. So I'll code these and I will select this so that it is also under the parent code and click new node. I'll name this code touches on sensitive topics and people. Okay, this appears. So if satire touches sensitive topics and people, it will be regulated. So you see that the parent code is regulation of satire in China. Then we understand first that there is strict control of satire. Next, you understand that if it touches on sensitive topics and people, it will be regulated. You may rename this by clicking first and waiting for around 2 seconds, then you click again. Then you rename it strict control of satire, and click enter. Next, let's move to the next code. So let's check, for example, this statement that says the government uses a combination of automated systems and human sensors to monitor and control online content, and they are quick to take down posts, articles, or discussions that are considered problematic. So let's highlight this and code it as this will be a new node. So I'll click new node and type in detection of satirical content. Okay, so you find this appears as a different node. This is a different node. So this one is a parent node with two children. This one is a theme, then this one has subthemes because these codes form themes and subthemes, while this one is a different theme, so it appears differently. So as we continue analyzing, there'll be various codes that will appear in this section, and these codes are now the themes that we need to analyze or bring out in our qualitative study. So let's move to the next statements. Next research questions. What are the impact of strict regulation of satirical content on media freedom in China? So here is a list of the impacts. Number one is limited freedom of expression. Number two is self-censorship. Number three is media control and propaganda. So we go up to the seventh, to this impact on media industry. So what I'm going to code this is as impact of strict regulation, or let's say the outcome of strict regulation of satirical content. I'll start by highlighting this and code it as a new node and click new node and type in outcome of regulation of the satirical content. Now let me just say outcome of regulation because I understand it's the regulation of satirical content. So I'll click OK. Now the outcomes are 7. So I'll always be highlighting one and coding it. So I'll highlight this. Okay, let me say the censorship of satirical content restricts the ability of individuals and media outlets to express dissenting views, criticize the government, or engage in open discussions on political issues. So I'll highlight these and code. This one is the parent code. Then I'll click new node so that it appears below it, and it will show this pointed arrow downward. Then I'll say limited freedom of expression. Then it will appear here so that you'll see that it appears if number one sub-theme from outcome of regulation is limited freedoms of expression. Then number two is self-censorship. Now I'll highlight these and show you also how it is done. So I'll highlight fear of repercussions and potential punishment leads to self-censorship. I'll highlight this, I'll code, and it will appear this below the outcome of regulation. Then I'll click new node. Then I'll say fear of repercussions and punishment. And I'll click OK. Now, I'm going to do for all this information that is here, then come back to demonstrate the other types of analysis. Thank you.